tonight's headlines. Starting next month, commuters have to pay up to 7.5% more for their bus rides. Chief Executive John Lee says President Xi Jinping has asked the SAR government to take the lead in social reform. And the city's bourse will reduce the minimum spreads of securities by 50 to 60% in 2 phases, starting mid of next year.
Bus riders will see higher fares starting the 5th next month as the Executive Council greenlights another fare increase for 3 local bus companies, despite just tweaking fares last year. Passengers on the city bus have to dig the deepest into their pockets with a 7.5% fare surge. Those taking the KMB will experience a 4.3% rise, while Lantau bus fares will increase by 6.5%. Citybus had initially requested a 9.5% fare hike. KMB proposed a 6.5% increase, while New Lantau Bus had asked for a 6.5% rise, which was granted. The 3 bus companies earlier justified their request for higher ticket prices by pointing to climbing salaries and unpredictable fuel costs. Some citizens said the frequent fare hikes are squeezing their wallets. With the constant increases, I will have to pay $60 to $70 every day to and from work. That's about $1,000 on transportation every month, she said. This woman took a more optimistic view, saying that she can live with the hike, but as long as the government keeps the transport subsidies coming. The government noted that 80% of the passengers will pay no more than 50 cents extra per ride, and nearly 95% will see an increase of less than $1 per trip after the adjustments. Commissioner for Transport Angela Lee noted that the average annual increase in fares for the 3 bus companies have been lower than inflation over the past 16 years. She highlighted their meticulous oversight in taking into consideration citizens' affordability and the bus companies' financial sustainability, adding that they will continue to aid operators in finding more revenue sources and optimizing routes for efficiency based on passenger needs. Cheryl Yun, Cable News.
Lawmakers expressed concerns about the potential financial burden on residents amid a sluggish economy, as bus firms in the city have been given green light to raise fares by up to 7.5% from January the 5th. Roundtable lawmaker Michael Tian highlighted that while Column Motor Bus has a surplus from its government toll exemption fund to offset most of the increase, Citybus warrants particular attention since it tends to raise fares significantly more than KMB every time. Citybus has indicated that this would be its 4th fare adjustment approved in the last 15 years. However, lawmakers are worried about the cumulative fare increase exceeding 30% over the past 5 years. DAB lawmaker Ben Chen, who chairs the transport panel, pointed out that Citybus has raised its fares by 31.4% in the last 5 years, while KMB and New Lantau Bus have increased theirs by approximately 21 and 23% respectively. DAB lawmaker Edward Leung questioned the fairness of allowing Citybus and KMB to implement such substantial fare increases all at once, stating that many residents may find this difficult to accept. The Transport Advisory Committee explained that various factors were considered in determining the fare adjustments. Committee Chairman Stephen Chun also noted their intention to recommend that the government assist bus companies in exploring additional non-fare revenue sources and reassessing routes with low passenger volumes. Quentin Yang, Cable News.
Chief Executive John Lee said President Xi Jinping fully acknowledged Hong Kong government's pragmatic and proactive efforts over the past year during his 3rd duty visit to Beijing last Friday, reaffirming that the city is well positioned for stable development. In his weekly media briefing, Lee highlighted that Xi urged the SAR government to unite various sectors to drive reform and innovation, align with national strategies, and leverage the advantages of the one country, two systems framework to propel the city towards prosperity.
國家係香港最強大嘅後盾。
President Xi made it clear that China stands as Hong Kong's strongest supporter, presenting our greatest opportunity, Li said. He added that the city should proactively assume a leadership role in fostering new economic forces. The city's chief also referenced global rankings that demonstrate worldwide confidence in Hong Kong's development, indicating that government policies are on the right track. He noted that a record high of 9,960 foreign and mainland companies have been attracted to the city to set up offices this year, marking a 10% rise from the previous year, among which the number of Middle East and ASEAN companies choosing to station in Hong Kong saw an increase of 22% and 13% respectively. Meanwhile, Li mentioned his upcoming attendance at Macau's government inauguration this Friday, highlighting the enduring bond between the two cities. Cheryl Yun, Cable News.
The Hong Kong Stock Exchange will bring down the minimum spreads of Hong Kong equities in 2 phases next year to lower overall transaction costs and boost liquidity. The first phase involves securities with share prices ranging from $10 to $20 and $20 to $50, with a reduction in the minimum bid offer price ranging from 50% to 60%. It is expected to be implemented in the middle of next year. In the second phase, which is expected to be in place 1 year after, securities in the price range of $0.5 to $10 will be adjusted, where minimum spread will be brought down from 1 cent to 0.5 cent. Deputy Chief Executive Officer Wilfred Yu said this reform will help lower overall transaction costs and support a more efficient price discovery process. Separately, the bourse has proposed to restructure the stock settlement fee to remove the minimum and maximum components and replaced with an adjusted fee rate charged on notional value traded. The proposal is under consideration by the Securities and Futures Commission, and further details will be announced in due course.
The Legislative Council's Finance Committee has approved 58 funding proposals, totaling around $249.9 billion for the current fiscal year. Committee Chairman Ronik Chan noted that the committee convened 35 meetings, dedicating a total of 90 hours and 35 minutes to review these proposals, averaging 1 hour and 55 minutes per item. High-budget projects, such as the Sha Tin T4 Trunk Road and the redevelopment of Lai Chi Kok Reception Center, required up to 4 hours of deliberation each. Chan's remarks came in response to media reports regarding the swift passage of a supplementary funding bill valued at $13.29 billion. He clarified that, while these bills are technical, they had received prior approval from either the committee or the government before submission. Additionally, Chen responded to suggestions from lawmakers about reducing civil servant salaries to mitigate fiscal deficits. He argued that such cuts could have far-reaching negative consequences across various sectors. Instead, he emphasized the need to enhance government productivity and project efficiency, rather than resorting to symbolic salary reductions. The head of Russia's nuclear, biological, and chemical defense forces, Lieutenant General Igor Kirillov, was killed by a bomb concealed in a scooter outside a residential building early Tuesday morning, according to Russian authorities. Kirillov's assistant also perished in the explosion. Ukraine's security service, the SBU, has claimed the responsibility for Kirillov's killing. On Monday, Ukrainian prosecutors charged Kirillov with allegedly using banned chemical weapons during Russia's military operations in Ukraine, as reported by the SBU. Russia has denied these accusations. In October, the United Kingdom also sanctioned Kirillov and his forces for allegedly deploying chemical weapons on the battlefield in Ukraine. Impeached South Korean President Yoon Suk-yeol has once again rebuffed investigators seeking answers about his failed attempt to declare martial law and has rejected a defense request from the Constitutional Court that would determine his political fate. Despite repeated attempts to summon Yoon for questioning, prosecutors and a special assigned investigation unit failed to get the presidential office to cooperate with the probe. Their latest summons mailed to Yuan's office yesterday was even returned intact. Yuan has until Saturday to appear for questioning. Otherwise, prosecutors, along with corresponding authorities, will seek arrest warrants for him. And if he complies, it will mark the first time in the nation's history that a sitting president appears before the prosecution as a suspect. Meanwhile, the six-judge panel of the Constitutional Court has requested Yuan to submit a written defense regarding his impeachment trial by next week. The answers will be used with a parliamentary resolution to deliberate Yuan's impeachment for his emergency law enforcement on December 3rd, according to a justice. However, Yuan claimed he has not received such notice. Just yesterday, the court scheduled a preliminary hearing for December 27th. Unlike previous indications of a public session, the court clarified today that it will not be live-streamed and Yuan is not required to attend. The trial could last up to 6 months. If upheld, a snap presidential election will occur within 60 days, or else Yuan will be immediately reinstated. Kun Jingya, Cable News. The American police have identified a 15-year-old girl as the shooter, who brutally killed at least a fellow student and a teacher while wounding 6 others at a Christian school she attended in Madison, Wisconsin on Monday. The force said that the suspect, Natalie Rubnow, who went by the name Samantha, was also dead, and evidence suggested that the teen died of a self-inflicted gunshot wound. The shooter used a handgun, and investigations are underway to determine the firearm's origin, including searches of Rubnow's home, police said. As of now, the motive remained unclear, and it is uncertain whether any victims were specifically targeted. Currently, 2 wounded students are in critical condition, while 3 others and a teacher sustained non-life-threatening injuries. School shootings have been a disturbingly routine in the United States. According to CNN, 322 incidents have been reported this year alone, making it the second highest total since 1966, just behind last year's record of 349 cases.
Employment conditions in the city remain steady, with the latest jobless rate stayed unchanged at 3.1%. For the 3 months ended November, the number of unemployed individuals dropped by around 1,000, falling to just under 120,000. The underemployment rate held steady at 1.1%, with a reduction of approximately 600 people. Total employment increased by about 4,700. Secretary for Labor and Welfare Chris Sun pointed out that despite some industries being affected by global economic uncertainties and rising trade tensions, the labor market should generally remain stable in the short term.